part two is understanding why people want to hear from you. This is where we get kind of deeper and where it kind of gets uncomfortable for people often, like, oh, what is it? But it's as I said, it's such a good exercise. And I love it every time I do it because I discover new things. And it also actually helps renew my excitement about it, right? Realizing that all this stuff I'm putting out there is making a difference and how I can do it even better. Because we all have something unique to offer our audience. And the more clear you are on it, the better you can deliver it, which is basically what I said. This goes beyond the quality of your products and customer service. Obviously, those should be impeccable or close to it, right? And of course, we're never going to be perfect, but we're not just talking about the work you do for your customers and how you help them with technical issues and things like that. This is way beyond that. It's the experience you provide your customers and how you make them feel that makes all the difference. It creates loyalty, and loyalty is everything because it brings repeat business, referrals, and elevates your reputation for attracting other business opportunities as well, right? So it's not just about like your customers, it's about how you connect with other online business owners, which is something that, as I was doing these exercises, realizing this is what I want to do even better too, is connect with I've always done it, but I want to do it even more purposefully, connecting with other PLR content sellers. As you guys know, as my customers, I do promote other people's products regularly, but I want to do it more. I want to create even opportunities where I can do that more. I'm also working on new private label rights projects where I am helping. It's starting with my kids and my son's girlfriend, doing some graphic design, and we'll be selling the images as well. But I want to have to also help other youth. So, which will probably be, some of my customers' children or adult children, could be young adult children or teenagers or even younger if they're ready to do it. It's all that's what I want to do. And that all helps create even more loyalty by, looking out for people. And you want to be careful, I guess, you don't want to do too much. You have to be careful with your time. Don't overextend yourself. And I'm always careful with that, where, I don't overpromise, but I do it in a way that it fits into my schedule. If something happens, then it's not going to put me out. So what I'd like you to do is write down some ideas about what draws others to you. I'm actually going to give you guys a few minutes and stuff to do that right now. And you don't have to share it if you don't want to. What kind of experience do they or will they come to you for? To think about that. I think I have some examples here. It could be things like a practical way of looking at things, your sense of humor, how you break things down into simple steps, how you inspire and motivate people, being a connector to resources and other people. That's kind of what I was just talking to you about. And now that my business is really well established, and I'm trying to remove myself more from the day-to-day stuff, I'm able to do that even more. I'm actually going to look up, while you guys are doing this, I have done this exercise not too long ago and actually posted it in the Facebook group. So please, either drown me out and work on your own list. It might be small. It might not be very detailed at this moment, and that's okay. Let me see. I'm just trying to find. You don't need to see my screen because I'll just say it out loud. So some of the things if you don't mind, just to give you more examples, I'm not trying to talk about myself, but because we're a small group, it might be helpful to hear some ideas on this. So I did make a list and I put quality products. And I know I said that's not important for differentiation. So it's still important, right? Many will say mine are the best, but others will say someone else's is the best. I'm relatable. I just talk to you who I am, who I am and what my experience is. I don't, put on airs or pretend to be someone I'm not. And I never would, because it's too exhausting to keep up with fake stories. I keep it real, so I don't lose track. I think I'm pretty funny. I don't know if I've been very funny in this session, but and I'm probably my biggest fan on my own jokes, but I do think I give people a reason to smile. I actually had a lady send me that. She said, like, you don't know how much you've impacted my business over the last 20 years. You always, have a different way of looking at things, and you always, add that humor. I don't think she said humor, but, made her smile and made her laugh. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. I inspire, and I think is another one. In addition to making people smile, I love to sprinkle inspiration to motivate people as I go about my day, because encouragement really goes a long way in creating a connection with your audience. And as I mentioned, that lady mentioned, I have a different way of looking at things. I kind of very pragmatic, very practical. And in political, like as an example, this has nothing to do with my business, but in political discussions, it sometimes really annoys people. Sorry, because I don't usually discuss from my own beliefs, but rather the facts and things like that. But when it comes to business, people seem to appreciate it. And of course, that pragmatism, I try to accent it with compassion. So you'll get really practical, like, tough love advice from me, but still from a place that I understand where you're coming from. I'm a connector. As I mentioned, I connect business owners with each other. I connect my customers with other business owners. I try to help my customers even in different ways. Whether it could be hiring their children for something, hiring them. I've hired lots of my own customers. And I love that about having an online business, the opportunity to not just create content where they can buy things from me that they can start their own business with. I love to be able to give them the opportunities to actually have a business by working with me and things like that. I also hire amazing people. And this is one of my favorite things to hear about, that my customers appreciate the incredible melody in customer support, or that they love the content or our company creates for them. Plus, I often hire my own customers, give them opportunities to earn extra money and learn new skills. I read that part, but I just said that to you out loud. As well. I'm approachable. Now, this is where I was talking about protecting my time. I can talk about protecting my time a bit. I'm approachable, but is how I wrote it here. And it says, if a customer wants to connect with me, I'm super protective of my time. I have to be. I am the CEO of my business, and that is where my focus is. But I also keep myself approachable as an independent business owner who has lots to share. So I don't do the customer service, as you guys probably know, and I also never offer my time one-on-one. But I'm available to help everyone collectively if they want to connect through my Facebook group. We're also doing this sort of as a collective thing as well. And there, through these things that people get to receive practical advice and get a glimpse into who I am, so that they keep coming back for more. So does anybody want to share their what they may have written down so far? Because I think we're gonna go in a little more depth with it. Because I think to start with, you might have short notes. So if, for example, you say, okay, let's go back to this one. You have a practical way of looking at things, or you wrote down, maybe you copied some of these ideas, which is totally cool because I think they're great. You also need to think about what concrete things you do, for example, to inspire people, or to do whatever it is you do with them. Think about the specific things, because the more conscious you are of that, you will be able to come up with other ways you can do the same thing, other concrete ways. Or if you break things down into simple steps, what processes do you use? What is it about your sense of humor, for example, and its connection to your topic? Because I think that's important too, is always connecting these things. You might be a good storyteller, but you always want to be telling stories that are related to the overall message that you're sending. I mean, you can share random things as well, but the better you are at sharing and, making people laugh in the context of what you are trying to teach, the better. And that might take practice if it's not natural for you. But if you do that copywriting and persuasion homework and you start putting into practice and think about all these other things we're talking about here, it gets easier. And again, remember, perfection is not required. I think we're all on board with this, it seems like, and I'm really glad. You don't have to know everything or be the quintessential expert. You just have to be ahead of your audience in key ways, know something they don't know, or have a way to guide them to their next step. Like you do not have to be the expert. In fact, I think that's probably a really boring thing to be. You can be a recovering train wreck who is making good decisions and guiding others who struggle. And I think that's important too. Like, it's even if you don't have to share everything too. Like, I think if you are struggling with something, the point where you actually share it is maybe when you're starting to learn from it and you're starting to become better for it. That's a good time to share it. Just, sharing how disorganized you are, confused, and blah, is not really helpful to anybody. So there is, some kind of filter involved in this as well. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it also means you don't have to share everything. You can also have a temper, sometimes be unkind, ruthlessly sarcastic, or any other thing that people might perceive as a flaw. It makes you human and likable to your key audience. Now, if that comes from a really big source of pain for you and it is really a character flaw that holds you back, that's something that you need to work on. But it still also is probably something that's quite relatable. So, don't worry about that. Don't try to whitewash your image completely, because that doesn't attract people. It's boring. So as I was preparing that slide, I went over to Patty, who is here, actually. I went over to the Facebook group and she had left a comment on a post and it was just perfect. I hope it's okay that I read this, guys, to you. And it has a bad word in it and I'm going to say it and I hope that's okay. Bad word. I don't know what that means, but who I am has never really fit into what I've tried to do. For years, I wanted to start a personal development site and I get started and that little voice would say, really? You don't have your shit together enough for this. You're messy and you stumble through most of this stuff. So I'd listen, hang my head, tuck my tail and try something else. And as you can tell, Patty's a very good writer. Sometime last year, I had the thought of, since I do like to journal and do it almost every day, maybe I could do a journaling site. And then the tagline hit me: life is messy, write that shit down. And then things started to click together: journaling, personal development, messy and struggling. There I am. Surely other people struggle through this. I mean, we aren't all Tony Robbins perfect, right? My humor, my snark, my big heart, my squirrel brain, it all fit in right. It'll fit right in now. I just had to discover what brands me with that I want to do. And yes, I can promote myself as that win-win. Isn't that wonderful? Like, that's exactly it. Absolutely perfect. Imperfect. A perfect way of being imperfect. Because it's so relatable. And, Patty is learning things that her audience doesn't know, or, when it comes to the journaling things, techniques and things that have helped her. And also when she's willing to share a little bit of that messiness, her customers will also, be able to, feel comfortable sharing struggles. And then Patty will be able to better learn about who they really are and how she can help them even better. Because when we create this perfect little image, our customers will also often want to appear perfect to us as well. And it's harder to get to know them. And then how do you serve them properly?